Hello YouTube, just doing another quick deck guide here. I'm going to be looking at the Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution Exodia deck that I'm running. This is mostly for the campaign and the duel challenges, the duelist challenges, because of the fact that, as you can see, it's running a lot of cards that are over the limit or banned. It's pretty useful. It's got me through the entirety of both playthroughs of the campaign and majority of the duelist challenges. A couple of them I did have some trouble with, so I did use my Cyber Dragon deck instead, which I'll be doing a deck video for as well. But just to break down, the Exodia pieces, you're gonna run 3 of each. I find this better because it gives you more options to draw them out easier. And obviously, since you're doing campaign, there's no restrictions on the limited cards. So running 3 is always great. And one of the cards that you're going to run is Graceful Charity at 3 as well. And why it's great is because it lets you draw 3, discard 2. If you have 3 of every piece, you're going to get a lot of duplicates. So having Graceful, you can just dump the extra pieces and get more draw cards. 2 Sangan. There's different ways you can run this deck, but I like running the Sangan because you could either set it or crash, and then you might have 4 pieces and you can just search the last piece you need, which is pretty useful. I only run it at 2, I don't run it at 3. Duality, I run at 3. More often than not, you end up using one duality and end up getting Graceful, and then you discard another duality that you get. But it's a great card to have just for the ability to search the top 3 and pick one. So you might have 4 pieces and get the next one instead of having to wait 2 turns to draw. 3 Pot of Greed. It lets you draw 2 cards. Pretty self-explanatory. 2 Regeki. I know a lot of other decks are running Dark Hole with the Exodia build. I like the Regeki better, although it does make sense kind of to when you're running Sangan to have the Dark Hole. But there's going to be times where you brick and you're going to have swords on the field and a piece that you don't need. And having the Regeki instead of Dark Hole works better, I think. 3 swords just for stall if you brick or something, just to kind of keep you in the game. Really useful. 3 upstarts, pretty self-explanatory. The 3 draws. 3 jar greed, and it just another trap to have because you run jar greed and reckless greed. Lets you draw 1. Good for also if you're doing the chains trophy. You can chain if you have multiple jar greeds or you have reckless. You can chain those together. And then 3 Reckless. Reckless, you draw 2 and skip the next 2 draw phases. But if you use Reckless multiple times, let's say you had 2 set and you use them both at the same time, you only miss 2 draw phases, but you get to draw 4 cards, which is pretty beneficial because you could. There's been times where I've had all 3, draw 6, miss 2 turns. So running 3 is pretty good. Even if you only get 1 off, but then you draw 1 off the draw, you can use it next turn and you still only skip 2 draw phases. So it's pretty good. No extra deck, obviously, because there's nothing really to have in there. Side deck, I just have 3 Exodius. When I didn't have the deck fully built, I was running this to kind of have a beat stick, which it gains 1,000 attack points for every normal monster you mill to the graveyard. Every time it attacks, it has to mill a monster to the graveyard. And when you summon it, it shuffles them all back, which is kind of a good thing to have too. It's kind of like an avarice in a way. And if you mill every single piece of Exodius to the graveyard, you win the duel as well, so it's another win con. Scavenger is just a flip draw, which is pretty good. Heart of the Underdog, every time you draw a normal monster, you can draw an extra card, which is pretty useful early on too. 1 day a piece, free draw right there. 3rd Raigeki. 3 Shard of Greed, which is you activate it every standby phase you have, it gains a shard counter. You drop 2 to basically Pot of Greed, which is pretty useful, but I think the way the main deck is constructed right here is pretty good. You could, if you wanted to run 3 Sangan, you could probably drop one of the Jar Greeds or the Duality. But other than that, it's pretty solid. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll also have a Cyber Dragon deck guide as well, breakdown up soon. Thanks for watching, and see you guys next time. Peace.